Hey, folks, today's guest is Harrow Dorsh, and he's the owner of the Hive at 52. It's a bed and breakfast located in Cheshire, England. So, Harrow, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat to me today. If you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your bed and breakfast.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. My name is Harrow, as you already said. I run the Hive at 52 in a village called Weaverham, which is in mid Cheshire. We're about 25 miles south of Liverpool, west of Manchester, about the same distance. Chester is about 12 miles from where we are. We're a small B&B. We've got 3 bedrooms. It's part of our house. We live at the back. The B&B is at the front. And I do everything myself. So I'll take the bookings. I'll speak to you. I'll email you. I welcome you. I'll show you to your room. I'll cook you breakfast. I'll serve you breakfast. I'll clean your room. I'll clean your linen. I try to attract you with my social media content, with my
Mhm.
marketing, my emails. So yeah, the Hive at 52 is me.
And isn't that every business? I mean, you've summed up every business nearly, no matter what it is. There it is: accounts, marketing, running the business, clients. I don't think people understand really the torment of running any business, no matter what it is. It's a lot of hats, and that's a lot of skills. Have you been doing this long? How long did you get into the B&B game? It's funny how Airbnb has been around so long that we almost forgot. I feel like a generation of kids is coming through where they're not even familiar with the world of B&Bs that used to be around
Mm.
everywhere.
No, exactly. I think I started just before Airbnb because I think
Hmm.
Airbnb has been around for what, 8 years? I think it is.
It feels longer, but okay, maybe it has. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
so. So we've opened the B&B back in late 2015 and got our first guest in 2016. It's been in the pipeline for about 2 years prior to that, but we've been properly open and running, well, just over 10 years, really.
What's changed? I mean, 10 years is a long time, Harrow. So it's just 3 bedrooms, but from 10 years ago to 5 years ago to today, is it the same principle or are you running it completely different? What's changed in the industry and running a small B&B?
You change a little bit because people changing. So in some ways, people are getting more demanding, not more demanding, but they expect a bit more. But in other ways, I haven't really changed a huge amount.
Mhm.
Technical things have changed a little bit, but we had smart TVs already, so we're still using them. It's just little things we added. So when I go to hotels, I really dislike to having going in hands and knees, scrambling for a plug to charge your phone, or it's on the other side of the bedroom. We've got a couple of years back, we decided to get those USB power plugs. So each bedside has one, so you don't even have to have your phone next to your wife, or you have your own your plug and things like that. So that's one of the things which has changed. We had plugs next to the bedrooms anyway, but sometimes I can see the bedside table being moved, and I'm thinking must be something there.
And it's small details, and yet I still, because I'm kind of focusing more on hospitality at the moment. Hotels struggle. It's amazing that those mistakes are still made. The small cheap kettle, the awkward lighting, bright lighting, aircon, old plugs, the TV that's off center from the bed. All these kind of little things. And yes, people, I guess, are demanding. I mean, you put it more politely, but I mean, it's a great thing that our lives are becoming better. But I mean, if the TV in my own bedroom is twice the size of the hotel, or the kettle I have is better, or the coffee machine I bought from Argos for 100 quid and it's a top of the range coffee machine,
Mm.
we expect our standard of everything is very, very high. And to go away to kind of quite a nice hotel and then everything is worse than
Yeah.
my grandmother's house, it is actually, why are we doing this to ourselves? So yeah,
A little bit. It's a
bed
little
and breakfast can kind of position themselves quite well
Yeah.
sometimes.
I've sort of got the same sort of thought. If I go to a pub and have a meal and thinking, I probably could have cooked that better at home. It's those kind of things, really.
Hmm.
But also over the years, I think what's changed is, I mean, Airbnb has changed a lot. Booking.com has changed a lot. We talked earlier, AI has changed a lot in the last couple of years. Things like TripAdvisor, you know, 10 years ago, that was sort of up and coming. And I've asked the question before, it's sort of despairing a bit. I haven't had a review on TripAdvisor for over a year. But then
That's
Google,
interesting. Yeah.
Google reviews, they're on the up and things like that. So it's those kind of things has changed as well.
Can you put your finger on why they're high? Because that's actually you almost before you said the punchline, I knew what you were going to say. Where yes, like something has happened where the review, while the review is still very powerful, and I guess in a certain context, I mean, if a restaurant has 100 5-star reviews, well, that is real, and if you see that, that's obviously going to help the sale of a new customer. And yet, I think now that maybe TripAdvisor has been around so long that you come into a new city. If I go to Manchester tomorrow and I type in best restaurant and I go on TripAdvisor, I mean, I almost don't believe any of that now. It's been, this restaurant has 9,000 reviews and it's like, it's probably just a really popular spot. So now I almost don't trust it in a kind of curtailed way because I guess if a restaurant had 50 reviews, that was like interesting. If it has 1,000 reviews now because it's just been around for 10 years. It kind of doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, it's funny how I haven't left a review on a business in years. And I kind of used to the odd time because it felt like a really good, like you were helping the business.
Yeah.
B&Bs now, in fairness, probably still reviews would matter more. But yeah, people are probably out of the habit of leaving a good review or leaving a review at all.
Yeah, I think it's also review fatigue because everywhere you
Yeah.
go, it's like, oh, leave me a review, leave me a review. And for me as well, it's harder as well because probably about 50% of my guests, but maybe even more, like last year, 60%, 50 to 60% was regular guests. So they come
Okay.
twice a year, some 3 times a year, some 4 times a year. And and I say to them, you don't have to do a review every time. Some do, some don't, and that's another problem. But I think it's fatigue as well. And I
Yeah.
think the other thing as well is that we're very good at, yeah, we're putting a negative review on, but not the positive. And again, it's not a huge amount, but I think that's another problem as well. And I think the problem with TripAdvisor is you have to log on, you have to register and things like that. While with Google, if you want to put a review, put a review.
Yeah.
So I think it's
That's interesting. So maybe it's people are switching. Okay.
yeah, and I think
And fun. I'm making up this next statement because I'm actually not sure, but I'd imagine in a weird way they're going to come back around now where we could be 6 months away from I need a B&B in Cheshire or near your area, and I'm just chatting to ChatGPT, so I'm not even going into Google anymore, and I'm now skipping Google. So the last 10, 20 years of everything that we understand about how the internet works, and reviews are a huge part of that, are now in a weird way. Now we're moving over to a completely new platform.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
suppose if you do have your reviews, I mean, I'm assuming ChatGPT is kind of reading those. So it's like, well, the best Bs are these 10.
yeah,
And now people are skipping all the search of Google, and ChatGPT is just going to tell you, I mean, I did it the last day for a skin product or something. Like I need what's the best sun cream? And ChatGPT was like, these three. And then I was like, okay, that'll do. And I didn't bother doing any more
yeah,
research. So it's
yeah.
kind of scary, but I guess the review might come back stronger than ever. We're like, wow, I need to prove to ChatGPT I'm one of the better B&Bs in the area.
And that's the challenge, really, isn't it? To get yourself onto the AIs.
Mm,
Well, I mean, SEO was already,
complicated enough, yeah.
no, yeah, and then you have to do AI, and that, I have to say that's a big challenge, really.
And I want to dig in on that. So apologies. So before we get to that, Harrow, how are you finding your customers today? Has that changed in the last few years?
A little bit. I mean, I've been quite lucky, although recent bookings have come in, and they're all through my favorite channel, Booking.com.
Okay.
But before that, I've only get about 15%, 20% Booking.com through. And what I find with those sort of channels is that the communication is it's very limited between you and the guest. They either don't read the messages. Or it's almost like it's a faceless kind of thing, really.
Mm,
It's almost like, oh, I don't really want to talk to them and things like that. And for me, it's really important, arrival times and things like that. But a lot of the guests who tend to stay with me are a bit older.
yeah.
retired. So they sort of still working with the likes of Google, and they still
Hmm.
like phone you, and this, that communication is there. But they have changed, but for me, they haven't really too bad if I sort of read the horror stories and hear other people in the industry talking about it. And it's probably where I am. I'm not in a massively touristy sort of area. I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure if you're in Blackpool or in Skegness or,
Yeah.
Brighton, there's a different story to tell there. But I've been quite lucky that, as I said before, I've got guests who've stayed with me. They've stayed with me for 4 or 5.
And how have you built that up over the years, Harrow? So, like 15% through booking.com is impressively low. So, how are you getting the other 80, 90%?
Well, through Google, and
Okay.
quite a few people have heard of me, because they're visiting relatives in the area, and they sort of heard of me. Um, and funnily enough, although I spend frustrating amount of time on my social media, and it's like I get the odd like and the odd comment and all that. But I've had, and again, it's not a huge amount of people, but on probably twice a month or 3 times a month, I'm doing some running with a running group, or they said, "Oh yeah, I saw your post,"
Hmm.
and you're like, "Well, why didn't you comment or why didn't you like it?"
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah," I said, "It will help me." So, and I think that's the important thing is like when people are very focused on, I have only got 10 likes and one comment, I want hundreds of likes, and like, well, don't, because, you might have 20 lurkers,
Mm.
and once they need a bedroom, they come to you because they've know of you. So it's a variety. And obviously over the years, people have recommended me and people have stayed again and again. So, but the first few years, I did get a lot more bookings through Booking.com. Some of my regulars, probably the first time they booked was through one of the OTAs.
Okay, well, so you've touched on a few things there, which I want to just dig into because it's quite interesting. Again, for a small B and B, so one, you have a very strong brand as a B and B, and it's very unique. So you've went with something very strong and very different,
Yeah.
almost kind of a commercially led brand, which I want to discuss. You then mentioned so SEO is essentially. Did you do a lot of the SEO work yourself? So how did you get your ranking into Google? Were you just searching that yourself and figuring it out and just did you build a website for yourself and just try and get it ranked? So
Well,
people were basically just
yeah,
searching B&B Cheshire and you were coming up?
we're on that second website. So the first one was built by a local company. Great website, and then I did the SEO myself, just through trial and error, and putting stuff in, and then it doesn't show up, and it tells you different, because I use a WordPress website, and it's quite good because it will tell you, that's not good enough and things like that. And then the second website was built by a company who had just built hotel B&B and STR, holiday let websites. And again, it's the same thing. It's just like, working on it and just go through it and spending, I wouldn't say weeks on end, but, a couple of days, a month, just sort of going through it and page by page, do your blog posts and things like that. So it's all trial and error. It's all self-taught and things like that, because obviously, yeah, it'd be great to get somebody to do it, but I just don't have, I don't have the budget for it. So
Sure. But eventually it worked. I mean, would your B&B be one of the on page one and ranked well in your area now?
I wouldn't say so. I think we ranked okay,
Okay.
and it's quite difficult, isn't it? Because what do they rank for first? You got a couple of the OTAs, you got Google, so you quite quickly bit down the page. But whenever I look for it, I come up, even within the Google, I come up quite high. So I'm quite happy with it. And I just keep
Okay.
a very simple thought process behind it. And it might be completely wrong and non-scientific. But if I get bookings through on my website, I know people can find me.
Perfect, perfect. Where did the brand come from? Did you have a good brand from the very start?
So in our logo, you got a little bee, which is my youngest daughter called Beatrice, and a daisy, which my eldest daughter is called Daisy. So
Ah,
that's how
amazing.
we sort of at the
Fantastic.
time got them in. And then the
Mhm.
yellow came as well, and I just love the yellow. It's like it's just bright and
Well,
things
that's what I mean. It's very commendable, and I think if anyone's listening to this again, I mean, if you are doing a small B and B or something like that, And I think people just don't give it enough credence because, yes, you've a strong, your font is very stylish. The yellow is very strong. And then very cleverly, you added in the Hive at 52. So very memorable. You've now told me the story about your two daughters. So if I ever stay there and I meet little Daisy and Beatrice, the amount of memory triggers there for me in terms of now linking back to your
Yeah.
premises. Even the word B, I mean, if I'm out and then be like, actually, we wouldn't mind a wee break. We could go back down to that B&B. Or if you're ever just walking around and you see a very bright yellow sign at 52. So the trigger points there linked to your branding is very, very strong. And I think a lot of people, had they been walking around and just been like, oh, there's a B&B, that looks nice, we
Yeah.
might remember that for the next time. Where, of course, 9 times out of 10 or 99 out of 100, it's usually just the cottage B&B. It's one of those signs, and you'd forget it 5 seconds after looking at it. They never commercialize it.
Yeah.
The memory of what a B&B sign should be is still so strong that they're all like that, and they never bother kind of branding them. And so they're forgettable. And I think
Yeah.
they lose out in such revenue. So yeah, very wise of you to brand it so strong from the very start.
Definitely. I mean, it was a cost attached to it, obviously, and we'd never regret doing it because, as thankfully you said, it's a great design, and it's the same with the website. We got somebody to do the website because one, I don't have the patience or the knowledge or the ability to do it. You can see when somebody does their own web, generally speaking, can see when they do their
Sure.
own websites, and it's just like, now, it just get it done professionally and, leave it to them because I think at the end of the day, it will pay back anyways. So, yeah.
So what's working the best at the moment, Harrow? So you seem to have a lot of return customers. In terms of marketing, what would be your channel that you try and lean on to get customers? If you had to try and push sales, what would you be using to try and grow the business?
Well, to be honest, it's really the social media, just
Okay.
continuously posting stuff out. And I think as well, it's the reviews on the likes of booking.com and
Okay.
booking.com itself, because, a lot of people will be smart enough to sort of search on booking.com and then contact you direct.
Of course.
The whole booking direct sort of movement, although it's gone a bit quiet, sort of, people are aware of it, that, and especially with booking.com, quite often an Airbnb, you pay more, because people are charging you the commission, things like that. So booking.com as well is still a marketing tool in my eyes, and the reviews from there as well, because the reviews from there are how you call it, are genuine, because um, people
Yeah.
have to have
They're
stayed
verified.
with
Yeah.
you, so they're
Yeah.
verifiable, which I think is a good thing. Even though they're not my favorite, they are doing a lot of marketing for me, and that's why I pay them commission, So, and I know people say, "Oh, why are you doing that?" But at the end of the day, I'm a small little B&B in Cheshire, in Weavern, in the UK. And you look at booking.com. I mean, I've had guests from Australia, from America, from Europe,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I wouldn't have got them probably through my little website and my SEO on Google and stuff like that. So, it's one of those things. So I do still class booking.com as my marketing. And then, as you said, the social media. I do a blog as well. So hopefully some of that come through as well. So, yeah.
When you say social media, Harrow, so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Business, and that's about it, really. I'll do the other ones as well, so Threads and Pinterest, but that's generally speaking just a similar one as I do on Facebook or
and
Instagram.
that's yourself. Like, so how are you finding it? Is it as frustrating for you as for everyone? Are you just taking pictures, reviews, trying to tell stories, just trying to
Yeah,
share the story of your?
it used to be a lot worse, because you sit there and you think, oh, because I started off posting Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays.
Mhm. Wow.
And then I thought, no. So I reduced it to 3 days: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And even then, you're like, oh, what shall I write about now? And then I met a guy through a big group, and we did a bit of training, and he sort of gave me a spreadsheet to try. And I've been doing that for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And I've just been on holiday for 2 weeks, and every single post of the last 2 weeks up till the end of this week, so 3 weeks, are actually from last year. So they just sort
Okay,
of
sorry. And
really
when you say
hush.
spreadsheet, Harrow, what do you mean? Like, was it a
It's got the dates of the day, the content, what I posted, which channel it was, and things like that. So I can look at it now, and I've got again, I've got pillars and sub pillars on there as well. So I've got a whole sheet from last year, and it says, okay, today we've got one. I've got one sub pillar for service, one sub pillar
getcha?
for local attractions, one for reviews, one for book direct,
Brilliant.
and it really helped me because even now thinking tomorrow, I haven't posted for tomorrow. I haven't got, have to think of something. I'll just go to the spreadsheet and look sort of down where I haven't highlighted it, and I've got my
I
subject,
get you.
and then it's
Fantastic.
easier.
Fantastic.
But
Hmm.
because also, if I then panic, I'm thinking, oh, what did I post last year around the same time? And I hadn't really done that, but because I went on holiday and before that I was so busy, I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see if it's still applicable, if it works, and I did.
Of it, yes. And what's one of your biggest challenges at the moment, Harrow? What are you struggling with?
But it's still attracting more guests really, isn't it? Because I
Okay.
can, like last month, I'm thinking, "Oh, I've got hardly any booking in June." And then I was
Okay.
on holiday and the bookings were coming through, So it's still, I think it'll always be attracting guests because where we are and, there
Hmm.
is competition around and just stand out for the competition really. And the only way I can stand out is with my reviews, my service and what we offer here. So
And if you had a magic wand, if you could fix one thing or do one thing, would there be something specific you'd love to try and fix or move forward?
it's really hard to say, because it varies so often. Like this week, it could be SEO. Next week, it could be visible in AI. Then the week after could be the
Yeah,
ironing.
it changed.
It's really hard to say that, and you go through stages as well, but something goes really well, like in SEO, you spend time on that or with content creation. And then other days you just sit there with a blank face. I mean, I'd love to have a budget for SEO and things like that, but I just haven't. So, and that's the biggest challenge, really, isn't it?
We mentioned AI at the start. So, with AI coming in, how have you found it? Are you nervous about it? Are you using it?
Loved it. It helped me really much with content creation and things like that, and just having ideas, and especially because English is not still not even I've been here for 32 years, it's still not my first language really.
Sure.
So when I write stuff and you look at it and you think, oh, that doesn't sound right, well, you just put it into Chat GTP or Gemini or whatever, and it sort of rewords it for you.
Of
And you
course.
just look to it and you sort of tweak it a little bit to make it sound a little bit more like you. But that's what really helpful.
So last question, Harold, thank you so much for your time. 10 years is a long time and it is hospitality. So how have you separated yourself from the other B&Bs? I have seen your reviews. You seem to run a very tight ship and you've a lot of high quality reviews of people really loving staying in the place. So what have you sort of focused on over the years, which you felt this is what I need to get right to make sure my customers are happy or coming back?
Well, we've started off with sort of being a home from home. Sort of slowly, I think we still got it on our website, but sort of moved away from that really a little bit as well because some people's homes are like a hotel anyway. And I think it's just myself really, and we just keep it, we keep it simple. We've got comfortable beds. Like you look at my reviews, quite often they mention the comfortable beds. We've got great showers, and I serve a good breakfast. It's all freshly cooked on in the morning. When they order it, I cook it. It's all quite relaxed, and I think that helps as well. If somebody wants an early breakfast at 6:30, not a problem. So I think it's the flexibility from that point of view as well. So yeah, I think that's a and I might not be for everybody. Well, thankfully, I'm not. No, but it's true though, isn't it? It's
So
like sometimes I've had people stay and then not returned. Well, they in the area more often, and that happens, and the other way around that people stay with other guests, B&B down the road. I've had guests stay here and there, and they come back to me because they prefer, my B&B.
that is, it's the what's the word? I mean, it's the best thing about a B&B really, because if you actually find a good one, if you find a B&B that you like, you've almost found a complete
Mm.
gem because we had one or two in Ireland that, me and my partner found and we just kept going back to them then because it was like, a hotel can change in a million different ways, but the B&B is much more consistent. Uh, we love the room. You're getting the same room, same person, the same breakfast,
Yeah.
and it's like this is such a much higher quality kind of stay because we know exactly what we're getting. Harold, thank you so much.
You hit it on the head really with that. It's like, some people want to stay in a hotel, and I don't really probably want them staying here because they want to have the bar when they come back from the wedding at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, so. And for some people we work, and for other people we don't. But I think it's the consistency I can offer my guests, and as you say with hotels, because Johnny, who worked on reception 2 years ago, Johnny left about a year ago. It's the staff turnover and things like that. So
Exactly, yeah. And you get the wrong room, you go back to a hotel you like, and then the next thing you're in a different room, and it's something's
yeah,
broken, and a million and one things can go wrong, even in good hotels.
yeah, exactly.
Harold, thank you so much. If anyone wanted to follow you or find out a bit more, just point them in the right direction.
Yeah, well, you can follow me. Obviously, the first thing is you need to book your room on the hive52.co.uk.
Hmm.
And I'm on the socials as the Hive at 52 on the likes of Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Instagram, it's the Hive at 52 BNB. So just the letters B and B. But I think if you search for the Hive at 52, you generally speaking will find me any of those channels. So yeah.
Fantastic. Harold, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Paul.